This used to be the herb garden, except they moved the herb garden and they're making a new one. That is the Brooklyn Museum, which backs onto the Botanic Garden. These stairs lead up to one of my favorite walkways. I think they are ginkgo trees. Hello, Robin. Ginkgo trees. So there's always lots of squashed fruit, which is kind of gross, but the leaves have a beautiful golden color, which is lovely. Blinding sunlight. Also nice, since I'm starting to lose feeling in my fingers. Okay. And I'm not too out of breath. And there is a massive congregation of robins up here, which is interesting. Of course, I come to the garden pretty often, in part because I love growing things, and it's also a kind of sanctuary. I can go here, especially in the winter, and pretty much be guaranteed solitude, except for the birds. And I love birds. And right now there are lots of robins around and some European starlings. I've seen a blue jay. And I usually also see a cardinal, maybe also his mate. I like to think that they're friends of mine and that they're the same couple I see time and again, although they're probably not. And they could probably care less about me. But you can imagine things when you're in the garden. And one of the things I imagine is that I do have a kind of relationship with the trees and the flowers. The roses were in bloom pretty much until December, really, which was amazing. And then we had that vicious cold snap. So I'm going to shut you off now until we reach the whispering bench, which is coming up. So these are the stairs that lead up to the fountain and the whispering bench. And in the distance you can see that white trellis that goes all the way around the rose garden. And if I turn and wait until people leave, you can see the fountain where Jenna makes her fateful wish that sends her traveling back in time to 1863. And of course, the fountain has no water right now because it's winter. But in the summer, it has a beautiful plume of water, and you can throw pennies in and make wishes. And all along the edge of this stretch of grass, this lawn, are azaleas, which are brilliant fuchsia and red in springtime. And then, of course, the best thing about this fountain, on that, I don't even know what it's called, lattice trellis, that would be wisteria in the spring. And all around the fountain are the whispering benches. There's 2 of them. And if you sit on one side of the bench and have someone else sit at the other end of the bench, you don't have to look at each other, you don't have to raise your voice, you can just whisper something and the sound will travel all the way around and into the ear of the person on the other end. And I think that's kind of magical, though I'm sure it can be explained with physics. I never took physics in high school. Okay, so now I'm going to leave the garden and go to the Brooklyn Public Library. Once you leave the garden, you walk past Mount Prospect Park and you come to the Brooklyn Public Library. There's a special children's entrance that takes you into the youth wing. Maybe I'll go in, see if any of the librarians I know are there. So this is the central branch of the Brooklyn Public Library, and if you don't already know, it's the 40th anniversary of Sesame Street, and they have this amazing exhibit throughout the whole library. It's a pretty impressive front foyer. And then around the corner, we have more Sesame Street. It's hello to Grover and the gang. Elmo. I think this is Franklin Roosevelt, or Roosevelt Franklin, who was yanked. I'm not quite sure what the controversy was. I think he was acting too black or something. Cookie Monster, Creators. Now we'll go library. Come out on Grand Army Plaza, which has our triumphal arch from after the Civil War. And I'm going to try not to fall down the stairs. This is the front entrance. I think I better back up and not fall down the stairs. This plaza usually has tables and chairs in the summer. You can sit out, read a book, have a snack. They also have live performances. Right over there is Prospect Park. We have Grand Army Plaza. Some idiot skyscraper, which completely stands out. Once again, we're going to try not to fall down the stairs, but show you what I first saw when I came to New York after college. My father was living in Brooklyn, and he said, "Why don't you come spend the summer here?" And I took the bus, which was not exactly a fun experience. I think it was a 24-hour bus. Somewhere around hour 18, some guys who had just been released from prison got on, and I, of course, started chatting to one of them. And he was actually really nice, and when we got to the Port Authority, my father was nowhere in sight, which is not uncommon. He insisted on waiting with me. I can't remember his name. And he was there to meet my father when my dad came to pick me up. And I definitely got a lecture in the car on not talking to recently released convicts. But you know what? He was there and my father was not, so that was also a lesson to be learned. But when my father drove us home, it was a really gray, kind of muggy, miserable summer day. And this was the first thing I remember seeing that piqued my interest. And I just thought it was the most beautiful building I'd ever seen. Never knew a library could be so gorgeous. And then I saw the Brooklyn Museum, and we were on Eastern Parkway, and then we were on our way home to Canarsie, which was not the nicest part of Brooklyn I had seen, but it was home for the first couple of months. So this is now the part of Brooklyn that I call home, and I am going to walk down Flatbush Avenue to Ali's Roti Shop, which you can get the best veggie roti in Brooklyn. And I am going to put the camera away and put my gloves back on because I'm losing feeling in my hand. So I hope you enjoyed this little tour.